guys, and welcome back to another Planet Zoo video. So in today's video we are going to be finishing off my part of the community build for Mrs.TeaRex's community zoo. So in this final habitat that I'm building, I am building a habitat for the former Sooooo black bear. So we've got 3 species of bear in this sort of area of the zoo that are all kind of from the Asia area, so it all ties in very nicely. I struggled a bit coming up with sort of some ideas for theming of this habitat. I really didn't know what I should or shouldn't be doing for it. I don't know, I just struggled. I struggled with a little bit of inspiration. I think I'd sort of had so much inspiration for the rest of the parts that for this particular habitat I was running a bit on empty. So yeah, we had this little walkway that's going over, and I figured, well, I would try and make this like a viewing point. As I said, I like to have my rules of 3, where you have, 3 viewing areas for every habitat. And yeah, this is just, one of the main viewing points, with another sort of viewing point kind of being a little bit further down. So with a lot of what I was doing here, I was just building the pieces and then just rotating them so that they kind of curved around the path nicely like this, which is how I liked it really. I like it kind of, just curving round and, making it look like it's just a natural kind of barrier that flows with the rest of the path, as it were. And it just fits in with the rest of the theming. So I had a little bit of an issue trying to work out how I should end this barrier though. And I think in the end I decided that I would just pad it out with rocks and things, because obviously the path starts to go up a little bit, and I didn't like how the fact that you could see the path through the glass. I didn't really like that at all. So I figured, I'll just pad it out with some more rocks on either side and just try and, make it look like it's kind of like a natural rock formation, and they've just built the path through it, I guess. So the main kind of feature for this habitat really, I guess, is sort of the kind of palace, like the Asia themed palace, which I guess I'm not really sure if it's a watchtower or a palace or whatever. It's just a very large sort of traditionally Asia themed building. I decided I would just go with the boring, and as opposed to trying to come up with something a bit more creative, just because again I spend a lot of time building various bits of this like part of the zoo already, particularly with like the castle and sorting out the bridge and things as well, and just trying to make it all flow. So I decided for this we would just go for your kind of traditional Asia style building and just copy some of those kind of like Asian palaces that you see across basically Asia, and just kind of stick with that theming really. So I was quite pleased with how it turned out. I think it sort of fits, but at the same time it also kind of, it doesn't take too much away from like the castle that's at the top of the hill. Like, they're 2 completely different buildings. It's not like they're kind of affecting each other, as it were. So again, I was using mainly Arctic pieces here, and then the Asia stone brick like pieces, because I just really like that aesthetic that we have going on. And it just means as well that like that it just sort of all blends together and becomes one massive habitat. So yeah, so I really enjoyed like just creating this. I do really enjoy actually building like the Asia themed buildings as well. I think like I like the roof pieces, they look really nice, and like they're just really nice to build with, and you can get quite creative with them when you start rotating them and things. So yeah, yeah, there's not too much to say really for this habitat. It was more of, it's the last habitat of the series, and it was just a case of kind of, finishing it all off, bringing the whole thing together now, and yeah, it was just kind of very simple. I think again it's quite good when you ever do build sort of like wooden buildings, or like buildings that kind of have like stone, or like kind of old buildings that have like wooden timbers. I think it's like a good thing to kind of make sure you're putting in like support pillars as well, because otherwise buildings like this high, that get this high, are going to have a lot of like structural support in them. They're not just going to be kind of just building like a stone. They're going to be having a lot of beams going across and things like that. Now I didn't put the beams across for this because this is essentially just a shell, you know, it's more just for like just to fill a gap and to act as a shelter for the bears as opposed to anything else. So it's as opposed to sort of maybe if I was doing it on a slightly smaller scale, I would probably put the beams and things inside, but particularly with this one, I just didn't see the need to. So again, I wanted to kind of have like a towering effect as well. Often with these Asia buildings, it is really nice to kind of have like it getting tapering like towards the top in size, as opposed to having it like all the same size going up. Like if you actually look at them, a lot of the buildings themselves kind of taper out a little bit, and then you can just sort of put like different bits of roof and things on like that. So yeah, once I finished that bit of the building, it was then just you know, time to kind of build up the rest of the walls or the habitats. And again, we're going for the kind of wooden but also chain link fence approach. This is not something I normally do when I build. I like to try and build like all barriers and everything from scratch, but with this like particular like group of buildings that I've been building, it's been nice to kind of have that like chain link fence just aesthetic. I just think it looks so nice with a lot of like the wooden structures. And then obviously once I've done that, I wanted to kind of pad out the rest of the rocky areas, trying to make it all blend together and make it feel like that the kind of the rocks and like the landscape are kind of like a very natural landscape and the path is winding its way through. And I was hoping to have a little bit of a viewing area here, but it's not, like the terrain's just not flat enough. It's just not flat enough, unfortunately, for any benches to be placed. So yeah, so once the bears are in, I kind of copied and pasted this animal shelter because I figured, well, it was good for the bears in the other habitat, it should be good for the bears in this habitat, and it kind of, again, it just connects it all together. It just makes it feel like it's a bit more finished. And you know, going back at the time, there's a lot of things that I've kind of missed out that I would go back and complete, and I might go back and do a few more tweaks to the whole habitat as a whole before it's like before the end of the year, essentially, when it's going to be submitted. I mean, I can't believe we're almost halfway through the year already. But yeah, so when it is kind of like going to be just before it I guess Mrs.TeaRex kind of showcases this bit, I might just borrow the park and just finish off like the few things that I've seen and tweak them, because I've just kind of, there's a few things that I've seen that I'm not happy with, and I kind of want to go back and tweak, but at the same time, like, I'm also kind of done with this project, I guess, a bit. Like, you know, I think that's the issue I have, is I set myself too big a projects, and this was a small project, a small but kind of highly detailed project compared to the things I normally build, and I've really enjoyed building it. But I think like just in general, I sort of set myself projects that are sort of too big to complete, particularly like Alphabet Zoo. Like, I'm really struggling just to get that completed at the moment. The next few videos will be Alphabet Zoo videos. I'm thinking of just halting DLC Zoo for the time being and just focusing on getting the last few habitats out for Alphabet Zoo, because we are nearly there with it, and it's a bit complicated what I've got to build next, and I'm really trying to come up with some creative ways to change it up a bit. But for the meantime, this will probably be the last kind of little project that I do for a while until Alphabet Zoo is complete, because I just want to get it done. And again, if I can't get out Alphabet Zoo like building videos, there'll be other videos that I'm going to be trying to get out as well, just like tours of some of the other habitats that you haven't seen, and you know, just getting everybody having, I want to have like, you know, a complete A to Z of all the habitats that are in Alphabet Zoo on video, so that you can essentially tour the habitats and go and see what they're like. And they'll, you know, they'll be shorter videos as well, I think, as opposed to, you know, something that's 20 minutes long of me kind of doing a speed build. I'm trying to think of ways to kind of mix things up a little bit as well with what I'm doing, because, you know, it is hard to talk for 20 minutes about something, particularly when, you know, after a time you sort of are building the same thing over and over again. It's not too much different. Like, I have actually got other projects that I do want to work on once Alphabet Zoo is complete, but I've been nearly working on Alphabet Zoo for a year now, and you know, there are aspects of it that I absolutely hate, there are aspects of it that I'm not happy with, but as a whole project, as like, you know, a complete project, I'm very happy with it. I might not be able to go into the detail that I want to now, that I didn't necessarily want to go into when I started, but it's, you know, it's just generally, I do too big of projects. So yeah, here we are with the former stone black bears running around the habitat. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy the cinematics of the bears in the habitat, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care, guys.